And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third day of August 2028. It's a glorious day out there today, 14 degrees and sunny. And the Weather Bureau says that we might get into the 20s today in the peak time. Well, that's to be seen. But right now, another report is there's a big traffic congestion and a bottleneck right here in the city. I can see, the cars lined up for way back. Some of our office staff are stuck in traffic, will be coming in late. So, that's what it's like out there. And I'm glad I'm up here watching them down there and not being stuck in that rat race. Well, today we have lots to talk about. And of course, at 10 a.m., our second show for the weekly real estate update with Usha Chandra. Well, right now, let's get into the news for today. And the news that everyone's been talking about, once again, another interest rate hike.
Man Nguyen is busy hustling hot dogs while being hit with multiple cost pressures at work.
Everything's going up, actually. Our bread, our rent, our insurance.
And at home, the 32-year-old bought his first house in October when property prices were booming, buoyed by his mortgage broker, who passed on assurances from the Reserve Bank governor that interest rates wouldn't rise until 2024. But his small lender keeps delivering bad news.
It's gone up 2%, and it's only been half a year. When it comes to the end of 2022, what's it going to hit and when's it going to stop?
It's about to get even tougher for borrowers. The central bank has delivered another double rate hike, taking the cash rate to 1.85%, up from 0.1%. Since then, borrowers are paying more than $472 extra on a $500,000 mortgage, $708 for a $750,000 loan, and repayments on $1 million debts are up $944 a month.
When you dig into the detail, there will be some households that certainly will start coming under stress, and we do expect that consumer spending growth will slow as we move through this year, as consumers will start to pull back on some discretionary areas of spending.
Not all economists.
So there we go. Some discretionary, measures where people could be spending less on household items and things like that. Well, so what does that do for the businesses? Businesses thrive on that, and if the businesses can't thrive, then they can't pay the employees. So it's a vicious cycle, and it just it's a bit mind-boggling, trying to get these facts and figures and things right. Just changing interest rate to bring about some changes that's happening out there. It is not real, as people say always. It is always a little bit of a false economy out there, because everything's going round and round in cycles, and no one seems to have a great idea. Yesterday we were at a breakfast meeting with the Queensland Treasurer, and so there were some good points that were made, some infrastructure things that have been put in place and other things like that. Queensland has done very well in its budget than other ones. Well, right now there are calls to lure punters back to Adelaide.
Motorsport fans and grandstands back in the Adelaide parklands, not at Victoria Park but Victoria Square, as the government seeks to rev up interest in a revived Adelaide 500. After a 2-year hiatus, Premier Peter Malinowskis is keen to see fans return to the track for a new December race date.
South Australians love this event. They voted for this event, and now it's coming back bigger and better than ever before.
The biggest announcement left to 11-year-old Jake Burton, who helped campaign for the race's return.
The headline act of the Adelaide 500 2022 is The Killers.
The American rock group and cheaper tickets are among the drawcards officials hope will help arrest declining crowd numbers and justify the tens of millions of taxpayer dollars invested.
We want to make sure that over the course of the 4 days we do see crowds that are well in excess of that 200,000 mark.
The race will stop traffic, with some East End streets set to close for between 11 and 13 days from late November. There'll be further disruption when road resurfacing begins later this month.
In reality, most of our works are happening within Victoria Park itself, so I actually think that disruption to normal commuters will actually be minimised.
So, it's not about the destructions to the minimum quantities, but it's about the overall cost. Is it money well spent, or could that money be spent elsewhere? And of course, people like to see everyone get back to those races, which has been part of the Australian history, is one of the things that we do. Well, right now, Mark McGowan and Clive Palmer slammed over wasteful defamation trial. What a waste of time and money and resources.
Clive Palmer launched defamation action against the Premier over comments in 2020 during WA's hard border lockdown that he represented a threat to the state. Mark McGowan then lodged his own action, saying Mr Palmer had accused him of lying.
For a politician to complain about the press is like a ship's captain complaining about the sea. As these proceedings demonstrate, a politician litigating over the barbs of a political adversary might be considered a similarly futile exercise.
Justice Lee said both men had chosen to be part of the hurly-burly of political life.
First, the COVID-19 pandemic and the controversy as to the Western Australian hard border. And secondly, the enactment of the Iron Ore Processing Mineralogy Proprietary Limited Agreement Amendment Act 2020.
Justice Lee described Mr Palmer's evidence as fantastic and said he was an evasive witness. Mr McGowan was generally impressive and candid, although he skirted the question on whether he acted on the Chief Health Officer's advice on the hard border. The Premier was awarded $20,000 in damages and Mr Palmer $5,000, but Justice Lee suggested the case was a waste of court resources.
These proceedings have not only involved considerable expenditure by Mr Palmer and the taxpayers of Western Australia, but have also consumed considerable resources of the Commonwealth and, importantly, diverted court time from resolving controversies of real importance.
The Premier says he accepts the judgment.
To be clear.
And of course, the judgment has been accepted, but as the judge passing the sentence mentioned, that it has been a very, very big drain on the resources, the state-wise, and of course the Commonwealth funds as well. So as I mentioned, is it money well spent? Well, right now, looking at Perth once again, and wide weather leads to damage to the airport and creates chaos.
Trista McCarthy was woken abruptly by the sound of a tree crashing into her house.
And then there was a branch in my bedroom ceiling above where my partner sleeps.
No one was hurt, but the tree pierced through 4 different rooms.
One of the branches has come through, impaled through the next to the toilet door here in our laundry.
SES volunteers worked to secure her roof as the south of the state was battered by consecutive storm fronts.
What makes this situation so unique is just that we've got 3 cold fronts in a row and this really prolonged period of gusty, blustery winds.
Wind speeds of up to 137 kilometres an hour at Cape Lewin and records broken in the metropolitan area.
Bit blowy, but yeah, I don't mind it. It's a nice change.
The storm generated large ocean swells up and down the coast and destruction on land. Emergency workers were busy tending to fallen power lines, damaged roofs and local flooding. The roof was peeled right off this home still under construction in North Beach. And patios were flipped onto roofs by the destructive winds.
Driving can be particularly hazardous, especially if we've got branches falling down from trees, we've got bins flowing over into the roads.
At one stage, 35,000 homes were without power, and a blackout at Perth Airport has delayed flights.
This severe weather is forecast to continue well into Wednesday, with strong winds and large swells in what the Bureau of Meteorology is saying is a once-in-a-year weather system.
Once in a weather system, but it is quite severe, and as per the warnings that everyone needs to heed to that and take care. Well, the police are investigating 2 unrelated deaths of children to take some time.
This is the house where happy-go-lucky 7-year-old MACKAY lived before his death in February. In an online fundraiser posted after his death, MACKAY's family said he was taken to the doctor for severe stomach pain. A day later, scans showed signs of constipation. The next day, he began to feel worse and couldn't move. On the 10th of February, his dad rushed him to the Lyle McEwen Hospital. He had a swollen tummy and went into cardiac arrest twice. He was then transferred to the Women's and Children's Hospital, where families say his heart stopped for a third time and he couldn't be revived. The family says days later a coroner's report found MACKAY had died of illnesses including pneumonia and sepsis. On social media, MACKAY's father Shane Wanganeen posted,
"No father should watch his son die. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, not even my worst enemy. The system I put my faith and trust in failed me and my son."
MACKAY's death now forms part of Task Force Prime, which is also looking into the suspected death by criminal neglect of 6-year-old Manapara girl Charlie.
As unfortunate and tragic as it is that we're talking about 2 young children who have lost their lives, I think that compels us to do a thorough investigation and find answers to the circumstances.
Former Police Commissioner Mal Hyde is reviewing the many interactions the children's families had with government agencies, including the Department of Child Protection.
To make sure that as quickly as possible the government is satisfying itself that there isn't gaping holes in the system. That may mean there might be other MACKAYs or Charlies out there that we don't know about.
Police say it could be a long time before their investigation into the death of MACKAY is complete because of how much detail there is to work through.
I wouldn't imagine that we're going to have any specific updates for the community for quite some time.
Evelyn Manfield, ABC.
So time it will take, and time must be given, because these kind of things you need to get really to the bottom of it and find out exactly really what happened, and need to save other lives, and especially when we look at saving children's lives, because they've got their whole life ahead of them. Right now we go to South Australia once again, where institutions and public transport users have been asked to go back to the mask.
Welcome back to masks at UniSA. Students and lecturers once more told to cover up indoors on campuses as the university rolls out the latest health advice from Professor Nicola Spurrier.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. I didn't see the emails. Is it necessary? Like, have we gone past that phase where maybe it's not necessary to kind of tell everyone to wear it? It could be a choice rather than mandate them and be like, you have to wear them.
The Premier insists it's not a mask mandate by stealth and insists Professor Spurrier has not recommended a statewide mandate.
We know that education institutions are places where there are a lot of young people in close proximity to each other, and it's utterly appropriate that guidelines, recommendations are made, and it's up to those organisations to make their own decisions.
The university thinks it had little choice, the Vice-Chancellor telling staff it's regrettable that we find ourselves having to readopt these precautions, but they are our best lines of defence to reduce the impact of the current variants. The uni has also opted to push teaching, research and meetings online where possible because of the advice.
It is utterly appropriate that the Chief Public Health Officer in South Australia provides guidance to significant organisations.
Masks are already mandated on public transport, and free masks will soon be provided on buses, trains and trams by SA Health inspectors.
Those compliance teams that'll be out on the ground talking to South Australians about wearing masks, they will have free masks on them and make them available to people in the event they've forgotten one.
More than 2,800 new cases found today. 3 deaths have been registered.
Of course, right now let's go to overseas, because this is the that segment leading into the Daily India report. New York, where authorities have found polio in wastewater as the number surges, so vaccinations may be on the rise, and we thought that we had got rid of polio.
Can you tell us when symptoms were beginning to show? Because it sounds like he's not contagious anymore, but it showed there's symptoms for a number of weeks.
Right. Symptoms began just about a month ago.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, so that's a growing concern. We'll need to keep an eye on that as well. What is becoming of this world? Well, right now, let's go to India with our Daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih arrived in India for a 4-day official tour accompanied by a business delegation. The high-level visit came in the wake of New Delhi's growing efforts in maintaining political stability in the Indian Ocean region. Maldivian President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih, at the invitation of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, arrived in India on August 1st. His 4-day official visit to New Delhi is accompanied by a high-level official and business delegation. The Indian Ministry of External Affairs said the Maldivian President is scheduled to call on India's newly elected President Draupadi Murmu. He is also scheduled to hold a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. During his 4-day visit, the visiting Maldivian president will participate in the bilateral meetings. He will also hold discussions with an Indian business delegation in New Delhi, after which he is scheduled to make a short trip to Mumbai in the Indian state of Maharashtra to participate in a business event. It is pertinent to note that Maldives is India's key neighbour in the Indian Ocean region and occupies a special place in India's neighbourhood first policy. Despite its small size, the island is strategically important for India due to its geographical location. Both countries have also seen a significant rise in their economic cooperation in recent years. Indian Minister of Communications, Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnav announced that India will start the rollout of 5G telecom services by October 2022. The minister made the announcement after the 40th round of spectrum auction that was completed. The Indian Minister of Communications, Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, told the media after the end of the bidding for the 5G spectrum that out of the total 72,098 megahertz of spectrum, around 71% had been sold in the auction. The fifth generation telecom services are likely to be launched in India by October 2022, as the government successfully completed the spectrum auction on 1st of August 2022. Indian government has mopped up over 1.50 lakh crores or 19 billion US dollars in bids by 4 companies, including Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea and Adani Data Networks. A total of 40 rounds of bidding were conducted in 7 days. Vaishnav said that the allocation of the spectrum to the successful bidders would be done by August 10th. In yet another win for Indian weightlifters, Harjinder Kaur won a bronze medal in the women's 71 kg final at the ongoing Commonwealth Games 2022 in Birmingham, UK. On August 1st, Indian weightlifter Harjinder Kaur claimed a bronze medal in the women's 71 kg competition at the Commonwealth Games, while England's Sarah Davis broke a plethora of records to storm to the gold medal. 25-year-old Kaur belongs to the Indian state of Punjab. She lifted 93 kilograms in snatch and 119 in clean and jerk for a below par total of 212 kg in the competition. Joy Ogbon Eze of Nigeria suffered a washout, failing to lift 125 kg in clean and jerk in 3 attempts. Harjinder's bronze medal was the third medal of the day for India at the Commonwealth Games, adding to the silver and bronze won by judoka Shushila Devi and Vikas Yadav. This took India's overall tally to 9 medals, 3 gold, 3 silver and 3 bronze. Harjinder's bronze medal was the 7th medal India had won in the weightlifting arena so far in these games. Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that India continues to be the fastest growing economy with a healthy financial position. Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman told the lower house of Indian Parliament Lok Sabha on August 1st that India is still the fastest growing economy whose financial position is much better than most other countries. Speaking during a debate on the issue of price hikes in the Lok Sabha, Sitharaman said the global agencies have ranked India's economy higher than most countries and there is no sign of recession in the country. She compared India with neighbouring countries like China, Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Bangladesh, as well as the US and the European countries. The Indian Finance Minister said that based on various parameters and data, India is in a much better state than most other countries at the global level. Sitharaman added that the government is making efforts to bring down retail inflation below 7%. Talking about domestic commodities, she underlined that price of edible oil had fallen sharply following the steps taken by the government. India's defunct airline Jet Airways is finally back after a long hiatus, and commercial operations are expected to start in September 2022. The carrier stopped operations back in April 2019 due to a severe financial crisis. Jet Airways is looking for new recruits. Good news for the Indian aviation sector. Jet Airways announced on August 2nd that it will begin its full-fledged operations in September 2022. It has already begun a massive recruitment program. The airline will be hiring new pilots for Airbus A320 aircraft, Boeing 737NG and 737 MAX planes, and also more backroom staff. While the hiring process has started, Jet Airways currently has only one operational aircraft in its fleet, B737NG. It has also now placed an order with either Airbus or Boeing to bolster its fleet ahead of the resumption of operations in September. The company received an air operator certificate from the Indian Directorate General of Civil Aviation on May 28th and now plans to add a number of aircraft in the near future. Jet Airways stopped its operations in 2019 after a consortium of lenders led by the State Bank of India claimed around 8,000 crore rupees in outstanding payments. The situation was finally resolved in October 2020. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India continues its fight against COVID-19 and India had made a positive global impact in this fight. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation via Mann Ki Baat monthly radio show. He said that the fight against COVID-19 is still on. He said the government will continue to stop the spread and focus on treatment and prevention. Modi said India's holistic healthcare had made an impact across the globe in the fight against COVID-19. He said that the Indian Ministry of Ayush is now gaining prominence worldwide, leading to an increase in Ayush exports. The Indian Prime Minister also said that there has been an increase in the amount of Ayurvedic research. He also highlighted the benefits of honey, calling it as Amrit in Ayurveda due to its health benefits. Indian jewelers say the India International Bullion Exchange marks a major step towards one nation, one gold rate. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated India International Bullion Exchange on 29th July in India's gift city Gandhinagar in Gujarat state. Indian dwellers are buoyant as the exchange will enable them to buy gold at international prices, saving a big amount on freight charges. They also said that the exchange is a step forward in one nation, one gold rate, as qualified dwellers and banks will be able to import gold paying international prices. Indians are big consumers of physical gold and international players are expected to pounce on the window opened by the Indian government. India imported more than 1,000 tons of gold in 2021, up from 430 tons a year ago. The yellow metal is tightly regulated in the country and currently only nominated banks and agencies approved by the Reserve Bank of India can import gold and sell it to dealers and jewellers across the country. Bollywood film Raksha Kawajom will premiere on OTT platform after dismal performance in theatres. Bollywood star Aditya Roy Kapoor's latest action film Raksha Kawajom will be out on OTT. The film, which was released in theatres in July, received mixed reactions from the audience and is all set for its digital premiere on ZEE5 on August 11th. Sharing the update, Aditya wrote, quote, Raksha Kawajom was a challenging film as it demanded a lot from me physically and mentally. I'm glad to have gone through this great experience. Now with Om having its world digital premiere on ZEE5, I look forward to the film reaching a wider audience. Hope the viewers have as much fun watching it as we had making it. End quote. Directed by Kapil Verma, the film also features Jackie Shroff, Sanjana Sanghi, Prakash Raj and Prachi Shah in key roles. Director Kapil Verma said, quote, I'm elated that a film packed with raw action and deep emotion will premiere on India's largest homegrown video streaming platform, ZEE5, during the Independence Day weekend and will reach audiences in more than 190 countries. I hope that Raksha Kawajom, with its action, scale and heart, appeals to people across the world. End quote. Produced by Zee Studios and Ahmed Khan, the film was released in theatres on July 1st.
Once again, GoPio Queensland presents iconic India Day Fair.
Celebrating India's Independence Day on 13th August.
Come experience India at no cost at Roma Street Parklands.
Experience India's culture, music and food.
You will be entertained from 10:30 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. by many talented artists.
The program will begin with a parade from various community organizations.
Finishing off with a grand finale laser light show.
Showstopper, one and only the Harbhajan Man, all the way from India.
Come join GoPio Queensland for a fun-filled family day and experience all that India has to offer.
For more information, visit our website www.gopioqueensland.org.
See you all there. Station sponsor GoPio Queensland.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਹਰਭਜਨ ਮਾਨ। ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਐਂਡ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਦੇ ਸੱਦੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਬ੍ਰਿਸਬੇਨ ਵਿਖੇ 13 ਅਗਸਤ ਨੂੰ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਨੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ। GoPio ਦੇ ਖਾਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਹੇਠ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਖਲੂਸ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਭਰਿਆ ਸੱਦਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਗੀਤ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦਾ ਗੁਲਦਸਤਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਨੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਰੱਖਣਾ। ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ 13 ਅਗਸਤ ਨੂੰ।
Hello everybody, my name is Ashana Chandra and I'd like to invite you to India Day Fair on the 13th of August at Roma Street Parklands. See you all there, bye!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful having your company. Well, today, before we close off, we'll have a look at the functions and events taking place right here in Brisbane. And ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for in this segment, and it's been wonderful having your company on this news segment on the 3rd of August right here in Brisbane, where the temperature now is 17 degrees and mostly sunny. And as I mentioned before, there's a big gridlock in the city today. Traffic is moving very, very slowly. Many people are stuck and have been calling in that they would be arriving late for many of their works and appointments. Well, please do take care if you're on the roads. Until our next show, which is the weekly real estate update with Usha Chandra, is goodbye from this segment.